Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're looking at the Ice Sabre. So, this was first released in the United States in 1991 and unfortunately was discontinued in 1992. This is a frontline Arctic assault carrier with a rotating three-man cockpit. All right, so let's see what Cobra has made for us today. So, having a wonderful front view here on yojo.com, we have a three-man cockpit here. It does look like there is enough room for three personnel on each side. This is a snowmobile with two rotating turrets and a four round missile launcher in the rear, as well as a front blaster cannon or laser cannon in the front as well. Um, the other interesting thing I really want to kind of note is looking at this all the way in the back, it does look like it has a cap kind of shooter to kind of add some extra effects to everything. So you could take the old ring caps that would typically get thrown into like an old cowboy pistol or whatever, and it would use those to give a little extra sound effect. Really fun for the kids. I remember having one of those cannons myself. Um, but just some fun and exciting things to do. I'm thinking that only one of these missiles fires on its own, and the other three are just propped up in there. That's why they look a little off from each other. I do feel sorry for whoever would be standing here on the side if you have a rotating cannon that would be swinging right in front of your face. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but to be honest, in order to get personnel to one place or another, it does make some sense. And for an Arctic situation, getting us somewhere sometimes, you're willing to take some risks. And we do still have the front cannon as well as the missiles to help defend while the people are on board. We could always kick them off and then continue to support them along the way. So having the left view, get to see the opposite side. It looks like another interesting vehicle. And this is Cobra just try to come up with ways to defeat GI Joe in the Arctic situations that they run into. All right, so we have our schematics. Um, Kind of going through just the missiles, the two cannons, the front cannon, and this is only a singular cannon here. Um, and it looks like this would be the drum or power system for it, depending on which way you wanted to look at it. Again, when we look at the cartoon, everything's like laser cannons and laser rifles and everything else. But when we get into the comic book, it was actual ammo based and all that we are typically still using today. Um, Although laser weapons are starting to become a possibility, to what degree, I don't fully know. I know that there are efforts to try and make them into some sort of actual weapon that we quite often see in fantasy or science fiction settings. All right, so easily broken or lost pieces. The ice saber in its entirety is extremely fragile. Special care should be taken with this vehicle. Extra special care should be taken with the missile box in this in its entirety, uh, as the entire assembly is prone to breakage, either with the spring launcher or the plastic itself. So, like I said, it looks like one of them has a spring launcher, but the other ones do not. All right, so we do have a couple different variations. So we have the 1991 Ice Saber. We have a 2004, which is a completely different vehicle. And again, I think it's the same vehicle from 2004 to 2006 from the looks of it. But this says GI Joe on the side, and again, this says GI Joe. Um, no, they look. I don't know. I'm a little confused if it's the same vehicle or not. So, uh, but either way, uh, however you want to look at it, it's an interesting concept. How useful it'll actually be, as an actual working vehicle, I really don't know. It does scare me sitting there thinking that you could possibly have a cannon sitting right in front of your face as you're riding on this. But there again, with military being military, um, you start getting into combat, then the infantry just jump off, and you're supporting each other, and you go from there anyhow. Uh, I also think of so many other things that we've seen from GI Joe, where you have people sitting on a bumper right behind a missile launcher. Probably not the best place, but it's just how things seem to work out. And do want to note all the way in the bottom, our original retail price again is not listed on this one. It's always wonderful when we actually do have that. I'm going to say that this is probably going to be around a $10 mark, right or wrong. I don't know, but it's a possibility. But with that, let's get into our D6 stats and see how we are sitting on that. All right. So as we look at the Ice Saber, and I have it at a wrong scale. This is from something else, borrowing the stats from to give us a good base. But I think this should be at Speeder, not a Walker scale. Um, so I kind of slipped up on that one. All right. Length, again, I don't know what to say here. Uh, we'll put it about a 15 feet long. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. It could be 20 feet. It could be 15. It could be almost anything. Um, it's kind of hard to say. We do have a crew of 3, passengers of 6. Kept it about 100 kilograms of cargo, kind of. That might be a little on the high side, but we'll leave it for now. We do have full coverage. Maneuverability, this is going to be even 15, 20 feet with the front skis on here. It's not going to be the most maneuverable. So keeping it at about a 1D does make some sense. A movement speed of about 60 miles per hour and a body strength of 3D, keeping it somewhat armored for what it is. So we do have 2 blaster cannons. These are the side turrets with a fire control of 1D plus 2. And the range is way off from what I want it to be. Um, Actually, I want the range from our blaster cannon on the bottom there to be the same here. Um, Blaster cannon. Okay. All right. That makes more sense to me. So we have a range of out to about 700 meters. Um, what is our damage here? Our damage is 4D each. We have 4 missiles. So the 4 missiles there, damage is 7D with a 3D plus 1. I figure inside here and somewhat or for a big possibility of having some extra guidance on the missiles might also add to the missile itself. All right. Then we also have the 1 blaster cannon in the nose. That's going to be a personnel scale. Fire control is 2D and a damage of 6D. I don't understand what the purpose outside of just saying it's just kids' fun. To say you do have a rotating turret on the inside. I will just consider it a 3-man cockpit on the inside. Uh, Most notably, one for each cannon, as well as the driver, and the driver might also handle the missiles. But that seems like a little bit of a stretch. I'd say probably one of the gunners, side gunners, is probably going to handle the missiles, or maybe a possibility either one of them. The driver's just going to drive and then maybe just have a front cannon on there and go from there. Uh, Either way, uh, you know, that seems like a lot more sense than to really sit there and say you're going to be spinning them around. I think it's just a fun play for the kids, just to have some extra fun with the Joes and the Cobras in there, just spinning them around, which is perfectly fine. Um, it gives us an interesting vehicle, though. The concept is fine with me. Having a snowmobile kind of assault vehicle, uh, up in the Arctic area, yeah, I could see some possible use for that. Um, but it is going to be a longer vehicle here. How good or bad it would actually be in the long run, I really don't know. Um, but there again, I do think it does have a uh, good chance of actually working out for Cobra to try and launch some sort of missions with it. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. Hope you're enjoying the series. We're up to 91 now. I know that we've got some people that seem to watch it on a pretty routine basis. I have not posted vehicles in a little bit. We'll get going on posting these up again. Uh, I'll start figuring out where I left off and start posting them up. I am falling a little bit behind on that, and we'll get that going here shortly. But with that, hopefully you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.